say, hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, welcome to the show.
Welcome to another episode of Weird Mom, a podcast where I talk about the things they just don't tell you about in raising a kid, or maybe the things they do tell you but just don't go into much detail about. I'm your host and resident Weird Mom, Chelsie. What is going on in these streets? Now that some of America is opening up, are y'all out in these streets? I personally am not, as much as I complain about being in the house. I'm not distraught to where I want to risk my safety and the safety of my family. So I'm going to stay in some more, not judging if you are going out in these streets, especially if you have to. Just be safe and don't be all reckless, Don't be out there licking doorknobs and licking Bluebell ice cream and putting it back in the freezer. Let's not do that, okay? How was Mother's Day for all the moms out there? Did y'all get everything you wanted, or did you even want anything? Did you expect anything? I know I kind of go into Mother's Day not expecting anything, but happy that I do get something. So I got some cards, some candy, some shoes, and yeah, I got company. I think that's all I want. Oh, and I got a steak dinner, y'all, and it was so good. I'm just thinking about it right now. I'm also out of breath because I ran up the stairs again. But hey, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it was a pretty chill Sunday. Made a chocolate tart. I've never had tart before. So this is my first time ever having tart and my first time ever making a tart. And it's delicious. I have one slice left and I think I'm going to eat it today. But I got it from the Tasty app, which is what I use for most of everything that I try cooking. And it was so delicious. I felt like a true pastry chef. Put me on, I don't know what it's called. I think it's called Baking Championship. But I don't think I'm that good yet. We'll see. But yeah, then I went to Mom's house and chilled over there. Watched her and Wade and my sister paint flower pots. And we listened to music and just a really chill day. I can't stress how chill it was. It was so chill. But I hope your Mother's Day was pretty cool and that you got cool macaroni art from your kids. My kid did not give me macaroni art, but it's okay. He is a gift in himself, and I appreciate him. Also, another news, I quit watching Degrassi because I'm at the point in the seasons where I didn't grow up with these people, so I have no emotional connection to them, which is season 9. That's my cutoff point where I'm like, this is boring. I can't watch it anymore. I do not relate. And so now I'm off of Degrassi. I'm off of Animal Crossing right now. I haven't played in 3 days, which is not like me. I didn't even get up on Sunday to buy turnips from Daisy May. So I think I'm just taking a break. I don't think I'm going to get off of it forever, but for right now, I'm going to just quit while I'm ahead. Did I mention that Wade knows the Degrassi theme song? Yeah, I was getting him out the bath one day, and all I heard him say was, whatever it takes, I know I can make it through. And I died laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, you've been watching way too much Degrassi with me. He picks up on things really quickly, as you can see. Speaking of Wade, I had to buy a little bit of peace this week in the form of purchasing the first Lego movie, which is something he's now super into as well. So he's into both Lego movies. And so I bought it because when Wade gets tired, he gets extra bossy, so demanding, so unreasonable. And on that day, I was tired and I was not here for all the shenanigans. So I was like, yes, I'll buy this Lego movie on Amazon Prime so you can be quiet and I can have some peace. Parenthood is all about choosing your battles, and that one I chose not to fight. And I didn't think it was a big deal to give in because it's only $10. And it meant my peace. So it's not like I gave in to him running around with scissors. I just bought a movie for him. So chill out, all you mom shamers out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't really been doing much. Oh, you know what I have been doing? Working out. Yes, I've been continuing to work out. Today, just now, I got back from the track where I ran half a mile and walked probably a good 4 or 5 laps. So probably a good mile to a mile 0.25. But that's not all I did today. I also jump roped at lunch because I do that every day now. It's just a nice breakup from the monotony of the day to jump rope at lunch or to do any exercise at lunch. Yesterday, I even meditated after I exercised. Mainly because yesterday I woke up in this like weird, bad mood for no reason and I couldn't shake it. And I was like, yo, I need to get a handle on this. And it kind of brings us into what today's main topic is about, which is like mental health. So we're going to end the little intro here early. Not much to say other than yay exercise, yay for drinking water. I hope you're drinking water too. In fact, let's take a break so you can go drink some water. Welcome back to Weird Mom. Just as I mentioned before in the intro, today's topic has something to do with mental health because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I thought I would talk about my own mental state after giving birth and just to kind of help other moms out there, particularly the new moms, because having a baby just really messes up your mind so much that you feel like you're a crazy person. But I'm here to tell you that you're not. Like, people go through this in different extremes and maybe not even in extremes, but in different ways. And I'm just here to shed some light on my own experience so as to give some comfort to anybody out there feeling down or like they'll never come out of it. So just to give you a little background, so the year I got pregnant was the same year I graduated college with my bachelor's degree, which is a huge accomplishment for me considering I'd worked so hard to get there, and it just felt great to know, like, if anything, I have a bachelor's degree that nobody can take away from me. And so I graduated in May of that year on a Friday, and then that Monday I started my full-time job in higher education. And so I was feeling pretty blessed because there are a lot of people out there who graduate college with no job lined up, or maybe not even a job that is in a field they want to be in. And I was feeling really good about myself because I had my first like real job where I would have more responsibility and I knew I was about to start developing more professionally. And I was excited and nervous, but overall I was feeling good and riding that high of accomplishment. And plus, more money. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but student worker salary, it's good, but it's not like the best. And so to have that bump in pay was also fabulous. And I had health insurance for once in my life. I didn't have to go to an urgent care and pay like a couple $100s to get seen. I could go to an actual regular doctor and pay just the office visit price, and that felt really good. And so I graduated in May, and so in the summer I was getting used to being a full-time worker, which I went from working 20 hours a week to 40 hours a week, which I didn't think would be as big of a transition as it was, but it wound up being really exhausting, and I didn't take care of myself, I guess, as much as I should, and I wound up getting a really bad upper respiratory infection that lasted for like a month. Like, I got really sick, and I had to miss work one day. Like, I had chills and everything. I thought I was going to pass out. Like, it was bad. Then for the rest of that month, like I had troubles breathing. I couldn't run because at that time I was running the little trail that they had, and I had to always have water with me because I would just cough and cough and cough and cough out in the heat. And that lasted for about a month. And I figured, like I said, it was because I wasn't taking care of myself. And, this was my first time working full time. So I didn't know how important work-life balance was and how important it was to take care of yourself, so that you can be a better worker. And another reason why I didn't think 8 hours a day would be that big of a deal, because I remember staying 10 hours a day while I was in college at school, because I didn't live on campus. So I would literally stay there from like 8 to maybe even 10 o'clock, because I would have class at night sometimes from 7 to 9:50. And I thought, well, if I can do that, I can work 8 hours a day. But it's a whole different ball game, because you got to drive to work, you got to interact with people at all times, and you have to really have your brain on for 8 of those hours, because there is an hour for lunch. Really, it's 9 hours because you have an hour for lunch. But I was also getting used to having more money, so I was like buying concert tickets, I was buying myself some new clothes, I was feeling fabulous. Towards the end of the summer, I hit a wall. And I was like, I have the job, I graduated college, what am I working towards? What am I doing? I knew it was an opportunity, the job that I had, but I knew it wasn't an opportunity that I was supposed to be in forever. And I was starting to think, like, what is it that I do want to do? Because I didn't think it would be higher ed, and I still don't think it would be higher ed, because I still work in it right now. And I was starting to feel anxiety about it. Like, what do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to go? Where do I see myself in 5 years? And it was starting to get me down and sad. And I felt like, even though I had accomplished something so major that year, I, at that time, felt like I still wasn't doing enough. Isn't that crazy? You can do so much and still not feel like you're doing enough to feel like, to be acceptable to yourself. And I knew I wanted children, and I was thinking about, I did the accomplishment, and I think it's a good time for me to have a child. Like, if I'm gonna be in this limbo of not knowing what I want to do professionally, and if I know I'm gonna be in this position that I'm in at my job for at least a year or so, why not take advantage of my newfound healthcare and have a child? And so I talked it over with Robert, and he agreed that it would be fine, that we were at a good place to do that. And so I was pregnant by the end of the year. And let me tell you, all of those worries and doubts that I had, they all seem to have been squashed, because I was living on a high of finally getting to experience pregnancy and motherhood. Because as I have told you or mentioned, I've wanted to be a mom since I was probably 16 years old. And so to finally have that happen, I was so ready to jump in and just allow myself to partake in any experience possible that is associated with pregnancy. Like, I was so into the stomach growing, I was so into the cravings and the symptoms, and I was happy. I was happy. I was on a high for 10 months, not 9 months, 10 months, because I knew, at the end, I would finally have that child I had been praying for and wanting for so long. And nothing could bring me down at that time. I know there are a lot of women out there that are super emotional when they're pregnant, or have really bad symptoms which make them sad, or they just are plain depressed for the pregnancy. And I know there's a term for it, and I don't know what it is. But yeah, that was something I was fortunate enough not to go through. And I thought, wow, if I didn't have these emotions and feelings during pregnancy, I'm pretty sure I'll be okay once the baby is here. No. When I had Wade, I feel like my mind just shifted. And at first it was for the good, because right after I had him, I was living on that high of, oh my God, my person is here. But then it all started to set in, like, oh, holy mother of God, like, I'm in charge of this human. So, like, nurses would come in and ask me stuff. They would ask me to sign papers, and I would have to put that I was his guardian, or his parent, not his guardian. And I was having to fill out official paperwork, and they were telling me all this stuff, and it was a lot of information all at once, and it was just crazy. It was a crazy thing. Like, this role I accepted this role, first of all, but I didn't realize it would come so hard and so fast and so quickly, which I know that maybe sounds dumb because it's parenthood, right? But I don't know how to explain to you, like, that it's, even though I wanted to do all this, it was still so overwhelming. And I think as humans, we are complex in that sense, where something can be so happy, but at the same time can cause you so much stress. And that's the state I was living in. And literally, like, probably a couple days later, that's when all the emotions started to kick in. I remember distinctly, like, I was trying to breastfeed Wade in the hospital, and he really wasn't eating as much as he should have. You know how breastfeeding is. That's a whole nother episode, let me tell you. But it was difficult, and he wasn't really eating. And so a nurse came in and said, maybe you'll have to, like, supplement him with formula, because he really does need to be eating a lot more. And even though she didn't say it in a way that was mean, or maybe she did, I don't know, it just made me feel bad. Like, automatically I felt like, oh my God, like, am I qualified to do this? I'm already not enough for this child. How else will I fail him? And that's just kind of how it began. From that distinct moment on, I just remember feeling like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough for this kid. How am I supposed to learn all this stuff and do all this stuff so he can be a decent human being? And so when I get home from the hospital, all I can do is, like, I look at him and cry, mostly tears of joy, because, oh my God, I created a human. But then I would cry because he wasn't sleeping. I would cry because I couldn't do as much as I wanted to, because I had a C-section, and the recovery for a C-section is trash, horrible. You can't do anything. You have to rely on people, and that made me very uncomfortable, because I don't like asking for help, but I knew it put me in a situation where I needed to ask for help, and I was thrust into that, and that made me stressed, because it's like, I don't like asking, so now I have to ask, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get all this stuff done. And it was just, for a while there, I felt like I was losing my mind, and that I'll never see the light of day. And he was not a good sleeper, and I would just be up with him, trying to feed him, crying sometimes, like, Wade, I love you so much, just please eat, which I didn't know at that moment it probably had to do with his heart defect, but still, it made me feel bad as a mother, and I just wanted these feelings and thoughts to go away. And so fast forward a little bit, I get used to a routine and things like that, and then I have to go back to work, which is cool. I thought I would be worried going back to work, but since he was staying at home, it wasn't that bad when I went back. And so I went back to work, then I, like, quit that job and went to another job. And And I started that job literally in December of that year. And I remember like after Christmas and everything, because, Christmas, that's a joyous time. Woohoo, fun, fun, fun. And it was Wade's first Christmas. I was riding on that high. But after Christmas and the holidays went away, that feeling of not doing enough set in when like I was at my new job and I found out I had to pay premiums on my health insurance from my previous job because I quit during like a weird time and something like that. So I found out I had to pay like I think $200 to $300 a month for the next 3 months. Then I had hospital bills, and then like there was a lapse in coverage, and I had to get that taken care of because Wade's pediatrician, their office was trying to charge me money, and I just felt like, well, how am I supposed to provide for this child? And I think that's the moment when I went into like a depression. And I laugh because that's my coping mechanism for anything uncomfortable. But even though like I didn't, when you hear, I don't know if it was postpartum depression because I don't want to say that I had it if I didn't. But I will say, that whole year of 2017 was rough for me because I was in like a terrible state of mind, but I was still doing what I needed to do for Wade. But at the same time, I was sad, and it made me feel bad once again because I felt like I was making it seem like Wade was not enough to make me happy. And in reality, in actuality, I thought Wade would be enough to make me happy. But it seems like that pregnancy and having Wade kind of just paused those feelings of anxiety and depression, and it kicked right back in around that time in January, where it's like, oh, here's where we left off before you got pregnant. What are you going to do with your life? And I was lost and a mess and didn't make a lot of good choices for myself. And towards the end of the year, like towards the end of the summer of that year, I was just completely like, yo, this is not cool. This is not conducive to your life nor anybody's life in your family, Wade's or Robert's. And you need to do something about it. I couldn't afford a counselor. So I started with what I grew up with, and it was church. And yes, I went back to church after I visited a church that my aunt went to. And I grew up in church. I grew up knowing Jesus, and I grew up like going to Christian school. So church was not, something foreign to me, but I just never been to a church so accepting and not like the Bible is law. And this church was just like, hey, we know you're a human and humans are messy, but God still loves you. And that was so comforting and what I needed at that time to kind of get started in being a better me. And I had debated going back to church after visiting that one day. And then like on Wade's birthday, which was just a culmination of, wow, it's been a year of this kid's life. And what have I done for him? Why do I feel like I haven't done enough for him? And then I got like a very minor accident. And I wound up like, the way the accident was, it really was the other person's fault, but because I was so far gone in my head of like thoughts and feelings, I blame myself. And I took the blame for it when I shouldn't have. And I think that was a wake-up call for me to say, do you think so low of yourself that you would clearly blame yourself for something that was not even your fault? You were clearly in the right and you took the blame for it. And how are you going to protect Wade if you keep getting in this state of mind and not helping yourself out of it? And I was right. So I went back to church regularly, and it really helped. I'm not going to say it's like the end-all, be-all cure, but it was definitely a foundation and kind of led me in the right directions and places that I needed to be at in order to get a better state of mind. And that's a lot to say, but I think now I am more self-aware of when I get like that, because I do still have moments where I feel down and sad and feeling like I'm not doing enough or I'm not enough. But I'm more self-aware in that I know now, like, these feelings are temporary and they're only here to set me back, and that if I just keep pushing through for that day, tomorrow will be better, so on and so forth. And you just gotta keep, like, I just have to keep doing stuff that is productive, that makes me happy. So I might exercise on those days, or do something creative, because being creative in any sense of the word helps me feel happier about myself. Even just focusing on like getting off my phone and just focusing on him, playing with him, helps me out, and eventually those feelings go away and I'm good. So yeah, that's just been my journey for the past almost 4 years. Oh my god. And I'm not saying how I handled things was right or wrong, but I needed to go through the things I went through in the way that I did in order to come out the way that I am right now. And even though I wish I would have made some better choices and started my development sooner, I'm still glad for where I'm at right now. And I feel like whenever I do have another child, I'll know a little bit more on what to expect. With that being said, you know you better than I do. If you feel like you are not in a state where you can work on yourself and you can do stuff to make yourself feel better, definitely seek out professional help through a counselor, psychologist, things like that, because those can give you great tools and aids to help you cope with these times, because they're not going to help you feel like happy all the time. They're going to help you sort through why you're unhappy and help you have coping mechanisms for when you do get unhappy again, because it is inevitable. Well, that's all I'm going to say about that. Did any of you struggle with anything that I struggled with, or do you feel what I'm feeling or what I felt back then? I would love to hear from you. You can email me or DM me, whatever, but hopefully this helps somebody out there, because during all that time I felt like a total crazy person. And even now I still feel like a crazy person, but I feel like I know myself better now, to where it's like, yeah, I do act a little crazy, but I know how to, like, get it back in gear, and that's what's important to me. So take a break, go get some more water after I talked your ear off, and we'll be back. We're back to wrap it up with what I'm into, because I have an obsessive personality and I love things hard for short amounts of time, but not everything. I do love some things for long terms, okay? So this week, what I'm into 3 things, and I was so excited. I had to write these down in my notes. First is Hayley Williams from Paramore fame. I love Paramore, if you didn't know, which is a band back in the emo days, but they have evolved into so much more. And I love Paramore so much, and I love Hayley Williams so much because she is so insightful and thoughtful, and I love reading her interviews wherever she talks about the meanings of the songs she writes. And so she just came out with a solo album, Petals for Armor, and I'm not gonna say I'm in love with it like I have been with other albums, but it is nice, and I think it's pretty different for her, because I know she wrote it in a time where I guess she was writing it as a creative outlet for her own depression, which, this whole thing comes full circle. And, all these songs have really, all these songs encapsulate moments in time for her, and I think that's cool. And so the songs that I really like on there, in a particular order, is Why We Ever, Simmer, Over Yet, which is a great song to work out to. Crystal Clear and Pure Love. So if you love Paramore and you love Hayley Williams, or if you just want to, check out some new music, check hers out. Once again, it's Petals for Armor by Hayley Williams. I stand for her. She's great. I think she has an awesome voice, and she's an incredible lyricist to me. So check her out in her solo project. And something exciting is that she did an interview and talked about the future of Paramore. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a future for Paramore. I thought they would be done. So I'm happy that they're coming out with something new. Hopefully this year or next, we will see. The next thing I'm into is a podcast, and it's called The Sugar. And it's hosted by Tika Sumpter and Ty Randolph. And they're all about like Black mamas and what Black mamas go through. So anyway, on this week's episode, they had Tia Mowry on there talking about wellness. And one of the things she said on there really stuck out to me, because I thought, once again, it's nice when someone says something you think is weird, but someone understands you. And Tia Mowry understood me in this moment. She said that one of the things she loves about being a mom is how she gets to see how things are at the beginning and how they evolve. And so that's the definition of a growing child, right? You see them from the little bean inside you to a little football in your hands to this walking, talking, breathing individual. And I thought that was I was like, I can relate. Like, I love transformations and I love seeing progress, whether it be weight loss or, the evolving of a person from one year to the next. Like, I love stuff like that. So the fact that she said that really spoke to me, because I thought I was the only one who liked stuff like looking at transformations, but Tia Mowry loves it. So I'm excited. The last thing I'm into, which I've been meaning to talk about once again, but my scatterbrain didn't allow for it, is Curology. Now, I am not, trying to sell you any products or anything. Like, this is not an ad. But I want to talk about how it has done wonderful things in my life. So, just a little background. This is going to not even take 2 minutes. So, I've had skin problems for, since puberty even hit. I've always had acne. Just, my skin sucks. It really does. And I've tried everything in the book when it comes to getting clearer skin. I've tried Proactive. I've tried, over-the-counter or stuff you get in the drugstore. I've tried stuff from Mary Kay. I've tried so many things. And I was just this shy to going to a dermatologist to get, a prescription or something. But I saw, my sister got Curology, and she's, my beauty guru. Because she looks at all that kind of stuff. And I saw she tried it, and she said, it actually works. So I finally decided to try it, and I did the little quiz on their website, and I was like, let's see if this works, blah, blah, blah. It's a free trial. If it doesn't work, I don't have to continue. But y'all, lo and behold, my skin has never looked so flawless. When I was pregnant, it looked really good. But this is on a whole nother level. And it's gotten rid of a lot of the dark spots on my face. I have not had really bad cystic acne, and I've been eating terrible, guys. And usually my skin acts up whenever I drink a lot of sodas and eat a lot of sweets. But I've been doing that, and with this Curology, it's armor to that stuff. And I recommend you trying it, because if it worked for me and my skin is bad, it can definitely work for you, and I think it's worth a try. It's specialized to your skin. You get connected to a dermatologist. I want to say, I don't quote me on this, but either way, it's a specialized formula for you, and based on the quiz that you take, and it worked, and it can be tweaked. So if you get it and it doesn't work for your skin, it can be tweaked, and you can contact them. But I was fortunate enough to where the first time I did it, it really worked. So if you're having skin issues, try Curology. It is at the cheapest I think like $30 a month. I'm doing just the bottle and not the whole system, and just the bottle is like $40 a month, or not even a month, every 2 months. And so try it out. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Um, Lastly, we have our positive affirmation, and I think this goes a lot with the whole mental health theme today. And it says each new day is filled with infinite potential and possibility. During that time I was telling you all about, like, it was so easy to get stuck in my feelings and feel like I'm gonna feel like this forever. Even now I have those moments where I'm like, I feel bad today. I'm probably gonna feel bad for forever. But just like time, feelings are temporary and you will get out of it. Each new day is new and it's different. It's a blank slate. It's a new opportunity for things to go right. It's also a new opportunity for things to go wrong, but it doesn't mean the whole day has to be bad. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. You can't completely wipe away your past, but you can definitely use each new day to make a better future. So just as always, follow us on Instagram at Weird Mom Pod. That's Weird Mom Pod. You can also email us, weirdmompodcast@gmail.com. There's new episodes every Wednesday. We are available. I am available. This podcast is available on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts so we can, get the word out there and hopefully help some other weird moms out there. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic week.